us the darkness, but they also point beyond the darkness, which always has to do with the direction of resurrection, which always has to do with in the direction of the human capacity to do it differently, which is all that the resurrection is. Resurrection is the power of God demonstrated on this earth through human beings who choose to demonstrate it. Now, a movie, a book, whatever, that only shows us the darkness, but doesn't give any indication of resurrection at the end. That's not art. That's bad art, and it's bad theology too. And much Christianity is like that, where the ego is so concentrated on the crucifixion, it never gets around to the real point of it, which is the resurrection. So it's interesting because a lot of people who would say, I'm very liberal in my religious beliefs, and I'm not into all this guilt and suffering crucifixion business, very much are in their own lives. Because when we choose suffering, when we choose in our own lives to rest on that which is dark, this means that we are choosing crucifixion in our own lives. I know for myself, my most creative periods and the things that have come out of me have not been when I was suffering. They've been when I was no longer suffering, but I could remember the suffering. Right? Because the truth of the matter is, when you're suffering, God can't use you as much. You're too depressed. A happy person has more energy. And so does a person who's not worrying about the bills all the time. So is a person who's not worrying about all the stuff that we worry about. And you really do get to see that the reason the ego mind is always constructing circumstances. The subconscious is always in conspiracy with the ego. There's always something to make us miserable about. And like we were already discussing, it's not even so much that things are made to make us miserable. The mind goes into something. It either manufactures something we can be miserable about, or puts everything together in such a way that we can justify the reason for our misery. And the reason we do that is because the ego does everything in its power to make sure that we are not men and women who give ourselves permission to shine. Because when we give ourselves permission to shine, that means we're clear. I'm here. I'm not here. You know, when I was in high school, I had a drama teacher who really, there's so many people, I can't tell you how many people, all over the country. This man retired last year, and people flew in from all over the country who he had taught, like in high school, what he taught us about life. And all these people who had been his acting students, some of whom were very big Hollywood stars. It was amazing. All these people who claim that he taught them everything that they needed to know about acting and acting careers. But there were many of us there who were not actors. He taught us everything you need to know about life. He certainly taught you everything that you need to know about showing up for any kind of professional situation. And I remember the things he used to say. First of all, it was something, you know, but when you're at that kind of an age, these things matter to you so much. He used to always say to us, he used to teach us about leaving your problems at the stage door. And this generation is very undisciplined that way. And that's such an important concept for any kind of work. It's not just for theatrical work, it's for any kind of work, that you have some discipline that lacks the self-indulgence. You see, we're a very self-indulgent generation, and we let our stuff spew over everything. Right? It's like we take the fact that we're depressed, and it keeps you in bed all day. You know, and I know I've been lecturing for a long time, and sometimes people would say to me, God, Marian, how do you do it? You know, if you're going through something that you're depressed about, how do you do it? You know, and there would be times, there have been times in my life when I'd be so depressed over something going on, how am I going to get up and give a lecture? But I had no choice. But I've seen how the mind operates. I had to get up, I had to get dressed, I had to go to work, I had to give a lecture, and the mind knew that. It just knew it. My problems were going to be left at the stage door, period. And I watched how my mind worked, because while I was at the lecture, I was fine. I'd go home as soon as I hit the driveway. I just can't believe it. So it's obvious that this stuff is invented. It's so obvious that there was this period of time, this context I created for myself, in which I was given permission by myself to rise above it. And the other thing that Mr. Pickett used to tell us was about how, he says, even if you have one person in the audience, you play it full, you play 100%, no matter how many people are in the audience. You ever remember when I was younger and I used to go hear singers, and you used to get the feeling if you were only like one of two people in the audience, the singer would come out on the stage and look, and it's just you, so you wouldn't get much of a performance, and you'd be thinking, well, you know, I paid as much as if I would have paid if this audience was full of people, and they were going to give less. Well, the less you give to life, the less life is going to give to you, right? So all this business about hearing this from Mr. Pickett and leaving your problems at the stage door, what you begin to realize is how self-indulgent we are with our misery. We indulge our misery. And the whole issue of indulging our misery, you know, the Course in Miracles says, look at the crucifixion, but do not dwell on it. And the ego mind wants us to think that there's this power in indulging the misery. There's a power in indulging the misery because, as we said already, it's part of our creative process or whatever. And what we want to, I remember once at an AIDS group, one of the men who was sick, or who was dealing with illness in his life anyway, said to me, and hearing me talk, he said, I feel like you're invalidating my pain. Talking like I'm talking now, basically. And I said to him, I'm not invalidating your pain, but I am validating your capacity to move beyond it. I remember once I was going through something in my life, and I was with some friends, and it was like this talk about when was I going to get over something that I was going through.
We'll put this radio back together.
And I remember my friend Jim saying, well, I think she'll get over it when she wants to get over it. And when he said that, there was like a light bulb in my head. It was like a brick to my forehead, because I knew on some very deep level that he was right. As long as we believe in finite resources, we can't allow ourselves to be fully happy. Because you see, the way of finite resources, the way of the ego is, if some people are rich, other people are going to be poor. If some people are going to be successful, some people aren't going to be successful. And you take that down the road, you just in everything in life, you're afraid to show up shining and happy. There's this picture of my baby over there. If you haven't seen the picture of my baby. Now, my baby is adorable. I'm not saying she's more adorable than other babies. Babies are adorable. But one of the things you'll notice about her smile, the only word I can think for it is unabashed. You can't smile like that if it has ever occurred to you that you might not be beautiful. She couldn't smile like that if it has occurred to her that she might not be okay. And she can't smile at other people like that if it has ever occurred to her that you might not be okay. There's just no room, she hasn't picked it up yet, that it's not okay to smile like that. So the smile is just, but you know, she not only does she smile that way, she's also given permission to smile that way. Many of you might remember, I don't know if you were in the room, do you remember once, in fact, you're here, because I saw you a few minutes ago. Bettina, I saw you here. Remember the night you sang? Bettina was coming up to sing. And before she sang, there was a little girl, like a 4-year-old or something, who came up and sang a very beautiful song. And she was so adorable. Everybody, yay! Right? And then Bettina came up. I don't know how old you are. You're a young woman. Bettina's very beautiful. And she also sang a very beautiful song. Now, people applauded Bettina. The interesting thing to see was that this child, in her beauty and her magnificence, does not threaten anybody with her beauty and her magnificence. A woman in her 20s or 30s, extremely attractive, comes up and sings a beautiful song. The men have to go through what they have to go through, and the women have to go through what they have to go through. Now, to God, it's 2 innocent children of God came up and gave their beauty. But, and I also know what anybody gets up and gives their gifts has to go through in terms of the permission you have to give yourself. But part of the problem we have giving permission to ourselves is the fact that we know that other egos also have problems giving us permission. So if you really, if you really want to be popular, you don't shine too much. If you really want to be popular, you're never completely happy. Right? Really want to be popular, you always keep everything just a little tint of misery so other people can relate to you. Right? And that's the conspiracy that we have going on. And that's why, I know that one of the things I'm always, we do as adults what we did as children, we're always witnessing, always looking at people who seem to have some area together. And when I see the people that I have this one girlfriend, and I admire her very much for what I think of as her emotional musculature, and I watch her in relationships. She loves deeply, It's not like she's an insensitive person, and she goes through very deep and passionate situations in her life. But
fits perfect. It was just a tiny piece of plastic holding me up. A tiny little piece of plastic was making it stick out like that far. It's a magnet. One of the screws does not fit, it's stripped. One screw left. Which that screw. It's everything.
Just turn. And when something is down or something is over or whatever it is, she has the capacity to lift and roll off her back that I admire. And it's not like I can say, well, I know she gets over it easily, but she never felt deeply either. What I had to be confronted with and witnessing her was she felt very deeply. At a certain point, she had a capacity. There was no way that the suffering she was into was going to serve her. She had a way to lift above it. And that way to lift above it is, in Course in Miracles terms, the cornerstone of the Course, which is nothing real can be threatened and nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. The Course in Miracles is our reality is joy, our reality. That you're completely perfect, you're completely as God created you. Each and every one of us, of course, the miracle says that anything you...
Put the door.
Action of what you're capable of. There's nothing that any mistakes that we've made, that any of us have made, that in any way changes or modifies our essential truth, which is how perfect we are. It is. You know, like Teresa Whitaker, what did Teresa Whitaker say? You're perfect because God doesn't create junk. This is not to your personal credit. It's not like I'm perfect. Our personal self is not perfect. It's not the small I, the self with a small s, but the self with a capital S. It's the real self, the Christ self, the power that is in us but not of us, just happens to be perfect. And we are on this earth to show it. And whereas the ego shows finite resources, and if one person wins, another person is going to lose, which makes us also then get into competition, because God forbid another person win, because if they win, somebody else isn't going to. I actually found, I've told the story before, I was living with a girl who was a teenager, and I walked into her bedroom one day, and there were several teenage girls around a bed looking at a poster, a centerfold picture of Christy Brinkley. And this is what they were saying. Things like, you know, she's not really perfect. And they were finding ways that she, which is hard to do, that Christy Brinkley wasn't quite that perfect, you know? Or then the one that not only men do to women, but women do to women, which is, well, even if she is that pretty, I bet she's not that smart. Right? Right? We keep women in their place with that one, don't we? Find ways that Christy Brinkley could be seen as not so fabulous. Someone was telling them that if she was fabulous, they were less. Not realizing that if she's fabulous, boy, hallelujah, she's so fabulous. I told these girls, really what was going on was they all want to be gorgeous, which they all can be. And the only way they all can be, and the way to be gorgeous is when you see a picture of Christy Brinkley, say, glory, hallelujah, bless that child, and bless the Lord who made her. Alright? That's how, if we, because whatever we bless in another person, that's a way of saying, I like that, I'll take one. But whatever you put down in another person, that's your way of saying, I don't allow that to keep. So if you don't allow them to win, then when your win starts coming up, you won't allow yourself to win either. Right? So the Holy Spirit is like Buckminster Fuller proved that everybody on this earth could live like a billionaire. We have the technological resources right now, and everyone could live like a king. But we don't have the thought which says everyone can win. And that's just a thought that we have. Like if I hear one more actress say there just aren't any good roles for women. Oh, let's all agree on that, okay? See, these are just thoughts that we have. And we state them over and over again. Whereas, as we were saying before, the whole power of the mind is that we're committed to a context. We're committed to a context, and then the world around us rises to meet us. Just like Matisse. You know, whenever we have these, you know, this kind of, the Course in Miracles says we're not a victim of the world. So whatever time, you know, I think one of the gifts, you can call it gifts, that they've been in people, is that we are a generation in many ways really never knew what nothing was. Many of us anyway, certain socioeconomic background. So we, you know, I remember that story when my mother came home when I was a little girl, my dad came home, and I was crying. My father said to my mother, what's wrong? Why is she, you know, just howling? And my mother said, she wants to be a poor black child. And she just, I said, what do you mean she wants to be a poor black child? And I was screaming, crying, I wanted to laugh. If I was brought and we were black and we lived in a ghetto, I would grow up, I'd be artistic. I will never sing the blues, I used to say. I will never understand the blues. It's impossible. We have too much money and we're white. I will never be able to sing the blues. Now, you know what the interesting thing is? Okay, we laugh. But you know what's behind that? I got that thought that unless I suffered, I'd never be creative. And you know what? It's not cute. Because you know what a lot of us did? The subconscious mind said, oh, okay, we'll find some for you. Isn't that exactly right? Because if you have the thought which says, I'll never be a deep person unless I've suffered, right people can figure out ways to make it happen. Right? You don't have to have any external circumstances. You know, torture is torture. And so it wasn't so cute, because I did grow up, as a lot of people did, with this notion that unless I've suffered, I'll never really, know anything, and, it's better if I've suffered. It's like when you think, boy, if I'm poor, I'll have camaraderie with the poor. Well, that's so ridiculous. The poor don't need your camaraderie. They could use your cash. I mean, what's the kinder thing to, it's like, hey, I use my angel revolutionary, baby man, you got my camaraderie. Great. Right? A donation, no, I'm sorry, I don't have it. I can't do anything to help you, but man, my soul feels what you're going through. Oh, great. Right? So a lot of us have these little hidden ways in which we think playing small is better for people who are small. Or playing small, for whatever reason, will make other people appreciate us more. Or whatever it is, the little prejudice that we have against having the courage to say, you know what, I'm going to be happy today. Because it would be better for the planet if I was happy. It would be better for me if I was happy. I've had enough of the other stuff. Will I continue to go through the pain of being a human being? I'm sure in many ways. Of course we will continue to go through the pain of being human beings. But there's a way that the mind can use our pain. There's a way that the mind can use it in an emotion. There's a double-edged sword to being a really sensitive person. It's a double-edged sword being a really emotional person. And I've known this in my own life, as many of us have. My deep emotions about things, in fact, I feel things deeply, certainly fueled some of the best I've been capable of, but my deep feelings about things have also fueled some of my most neurotic moments and some of my most wasted years. Right? And so really holding our lives in such a way that we make a commitment to being happy. We make a commitment to being in a place, like I said, those people that I've witnessed, and when I'm in that place, what I see happen is not that things don't happen. It's that there is a way in which certain things do not get my attention. And a life of faith enables that to happen. Because if it's not love, it's simply something in process. If your relationship is breaking up, if you're heartbroken, that's why we're here. That's why we study all this kind of stuff. If it's not of truth, if it's not of joy, if it's not of love, if it's not of perfection, it's temporary. It's temporary. God's on the case. To concentrate on the darkness only keeps the darkness in place for a longer period of time. The Course in Miracles is, as the Bible says, blessed are those who have faith who cannot see. Sometimes a pilot has to fly on instruments. He knows the ground is down there. The visibility is very poor. He cannot see the ground. And in that moment, he has to fly on instruments. Sometimes we're sad. Sometimes someone's sick. Sometimes someone has died. Sometimes people are in conflict. Sometimes people have argued. Sometimes we don't have a job. Sometimes we don't have any money. Those are the times we have to fly on instruments. We have to have faith. Blessed are those who have faith who cannot see. Sometimes you have to say, God, I can't really see why I should be happy. But I at least intellectually know that that doesn't mean that there's not a reason to be happy. The reason to be happy is that this is simply a situation in process. That's all that it is. And the miracle here is a shift in my mind from my agreement with the tragedy to instead my agreement with the Holy Spirit within me, that no matter what the conflict, it will be resolved. This person loves me even if they don't know they love me. I love them even though I might not feel at the moment like I do. This sickness is merely an aberration, and there is love and healing behind it. And the greatest service that I can do to myself and to the world around me is to invoke the light in the midst of darkness. In the Jewish Book of Wisdom, which is called the Talmud, it is asked, what is the Jew to do in the time of the greatest darkness? What the Talmud says to the Jew is, during the time of the greatest darkness, act as if the light had already come. You have a commitment to light. You have a commitment to happiness. And this invokes it. And one of the ways it invokes it, in conclusion, is this. We all know this from our friends. Let's say you have a really miserable friend. And let's say that friend is really so depressed. And will you call me when you get home because I'm so depressed? Do you think you could come over? Once is fine. It's what it means to be a friend. Twice is what it means to be a friend. But after a few times, you just feel this person is sucking at your energy. Now,
What about your friends who you know are going through this? But they have something in them. They're not lying about what they're going through. They're not in denial about what they're going through. But their energy, you feel the energy of a person willing to go through it, willing to work through it. You want to help. Isn't that right? Because you're not picking up from them a commitment to the tragedy. You're picking up from them, yeah, I'm going through it, but I'm willing not to be. I got to tell you something. I've worked with a lot of people who have AIDS. And I know people who have AIDS who bitch less than some people these days because mommy didn't give me piano lessons. And that's the truth. Because these days there's so much in the air that has to do with finding what I can be miserable about. And then when you see people who are truly dealing with things that bring real perspective in your life and you're around it, because you see things that really could cause heartbreak, but you see these people struggling and using every emotional muscle that they have available to them to keep them up because they know that their very lives depend upon it. You are humbled sometimes in the presence of these people. Louise Hay, we have so much to be grateful to Louise Hay for. She has done, people have no idea what that woman has done. Because as soon as AIDS came on the scene, Louise Hay, in such a powerful way, put it out there, no self-pity. She gave to a whole, she just created such a context around AIDS, which is, that will not help us to sink into this. Let's rise above it. And incredible things happen, things which affect the psycho-immunological factor. They have now proven that people who have been diagnosed with terminal illnesses live twice as long when they attend support groups. Support groups, real support groups, are not where you are supported in seeing how terrible this is. Real support groups are when we are supported to see how no matter what the disease, no matter what the condition, no matter what the circumstance is in our lives, nothing outside of us can diminish our capacity to give love. Nothing outside of us can diminish our capacity to receive love. Sometimes it's those situations in our lives which are the most painful, which are the greatest opportunities for us to learn what it means to expand our hearts. And ultimately, the only real joy in life is to be a person with an expanded heart. That's the only thing ultimately which enables us to have joy. The only way we can really be happy, the Course in Miracles says, is not when things go the way we want them to go. The only way to really be happy, the Course in Miracles says, is when we become people for whom it doesn't really matter how things go today, because we have decided to be happy. Thank you very much.
tape 2, side 3.
Like it's mounting and world is going like Life magazine puts Power of Prayer on its cover. News and World Report has personal things on its cover. It's what we must absolutely forge. We must recognize the form that the user has. What the user wants to do, Eagle sees truth, and it says, well, if I can handle it, I can keep the world in.
I guess it needs to be round. That was a pretty good garbage find, huh? And I fixed my radio so I can listen to shit. Probably like my very first radio. I didn't even know I had it. I was like, I need a radio, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? Oh shit. It's my old radio. How to modify a childproof lighter. You take these, you hold down that thing and take that wheel out, and you put it back. Ta-da! Now it's not childproof. It wouldn't even light with that childproof on there. I only took one off. You can take both off. Those little wheels. Keep them. They might be like little washers. They actually work really good for that if you ever need a little washer like that. Hate them on the lighter. Good for other things. That lighter would not light. Did you see how that lighter didn't light? Didn't light before, now it lights now. I'll take the other wheel off. Uh-oh. Make sure you turn down the shit. Is that up? No, something happened. Make sure the fluid's down. If you like push up, turn right, push down, turn left, that turns it down. But if you push up, push right, push down, turn right, or turn right, push up, pull back, push down. Now it's really high. Alright, no, I had it low, so now it's normal. There you go. You pull back, push down, push up, pull left. Okay, I fixed my old video. Does it still rewinding? Let's stop it. Something is supposed to hit this, like, spring. It used to pop open, it don't pop open. Wait, it don't pop open. Take a little bit of this. And you stuff it. I hit record. Worship Satan, bitch. Oh, help me. Rewind. Play.
Set it down. Make sure the eagle sees truth, and it says, well, I can handle it. I can keep the world in darkness. It's
Worship Satan. Help me.
set it down. Make sure that the major forces of truth never get together, because if forces of truth get together, they might have an effect.
This is Satan from the dark side. I just had to butt in for a second, sorry. But this bitch is full of shit. And you need to turn to the darkness. Because if not, you have no courage. And true inspiration does come from darkness. But you do ascend to the light. But the act of learning means that you make a mistake and then learn from it. But you can always also learn from others' mistakes. Or you can just be smart enough and listen to and like think and have independent thought and think for yourself, and don't let this bitch tell you what to think. Don't be a lemming, be a black sheep, because black sheep don't follow trends. And that'll be helpful because you won't be leaping off cliffs. Because lemmings, they leap off cliffs. Yes they do. Okay, back to your inspirational self-help. Volume 2, Side 3. Thank you for purchasing this, and have a nice day. How bad would that somebody if I sold it to? I'd be like, let's see it. You have no courage. This is what I used to do, like, when I was a kid. Now I just do it. Okay.
God lifts us above the battlefield. God takes us into a different realm. And while we were in that different realm, the realm where the problem is shifts. That's why the Course in Miracles says the body doesn't heal on the level of the body. The body heals when we're not even looking. And same with all the problems in the world. We're so fixated on the problems, and every morning we watch the news and we read the newspapers. And television, it's like if there's not enough nonfiction, they want to add to it with fiction so that we can glorify darkness more. We are mesmerized by it. We are hypnotized by it. We are totally obsessed with darkness. We talk about it all the time. We spend much more time talking about the power of disease than we spend talking about the power of God. We spend much more time talking about the mechanism of hatred and anger and judgment and criticism and gossip than we spend working on the technology of forgiveness and release from focus on someone's guilt. And we get in the world that which we focus on. And yet, America is resurrecting in spite of itself. America is resurrecting in spite of itself. Do you know that in the New York Times, the bestseller list, Celestine Prophecy, which is like New Age 101A, number one fiction on the New York Times bestseller list and number one nonfiction on the New York Times bestseller list is Embraced by the Light, about a near-death experience. New Yorkers are going crazy. They're like lunching at the Royalton going, I cannot stand this. Life magazine puts Power of Prayer on its cover. This week, U.S. News and World Report has personal faith on its cover. And what we must absolutely forge, we must recognize the form that the ego takes. What the ego wishes to do is to divide us. The ego sees truth, and it says, well, I can handle it. I can keep the world in darkness.
Worship Satan. Help me.
It down, make sure that the major forces of truth never get together, because if forces of truth get together, they might have an effect. So he does.
This is Satan from the dark side. I just had to butt in for a second, sorry. But this bitch is full of shit. And you need to turn to the darkness. Because if not, you have no courage. And true inspiration does come from darkness. But you do ascend to the light. But the act of learning means that you make a mistake and then learn from it. But you can always also learn from others' mistakes. Or you can just be smart enough and listen to think and have independent thought. Think for yourself. That's pretty funny. Let's see. And that'll be.
So many others. It is already begun.
Here, we'll add more. Nah, it don't matter. I was just testing the mic though. It works. Radio works. Self-help videos are pretty cool. Garbage find. I'm tired of hearing them now. I'm gonna listen to them later though, just for fun. Just for like different, non-biased, garbage picked find opinion. I don't know. I just like old cassettes and shit. It says like 1989, like 1990, with this old radio that I've had forever, and it didn't work, and I had to fix it. It was really fucked up. Now it sounds pretty good. I think it was a rubber band and a spring. Nothing really electrical. Oh, the switch is finicky. You have to play with the switch. But this motherfucker's like brand new. I'll sell it to you for like $100. You might get it and be like, ah, the switch is finicky. I don't even know how to use it. It said like new. What the fuck? The door doesn't even open. What the hell? I don't know why the door don't open. Maybe I broke something. I tried not to. I thought, yeah, you pop the door out. Check it out. Put it back. It doesn't work. I just don't like pop back open. I don't know. It opens, it closes, but you gotta like grab it and open it. can't believe the mic works. It's pretty funny. It has a good antenna. I might actually use this. For camping. Even though I have a new satellite radio. I could use this one as backup. Satellite radio broke. I found this satellite radio at a yard sale for $1. It works great. One guy was asking $30 for one, so I got one for $1. I bought a coffee grinder for $1. I bought coffee grinder for $1. I bought a popcorn popper, but I use it for roasting coffee beans, and it works. When I bought it, they're like, "This thing is ancient. We have no idea how old it is. It's ancient." And I'm like, "How old do you want? I mean, how much do you want for it?" And they're like, $1. And I said, okay. And they said, here, you can have this free other shit with it. And I said, okay, cool. I love shit. Yay. But I cleaned the hell out of that popcorn popper. It wasn't even really dirty. It was super freaking old. So I cleaned it, and then I put my coffee, because I got green coffee beans, unroasted coffee beans, green, and I threw them in there, and it roasted it like awesome, dude. It was crazy. You gotta look this shit up. YouTube this shit, man. It's fucking crazy. And it worked great. And I'm gonna drink the coffee in the morning. Yes. Haven't drank it yet. Man, I bought a Japanese chef knife that has unknown. It's unknown. And it's dull. But it's Japanese. That's supposed to be pretty good. And it's chef knife. I thought that was pretty cool. I bought an old rotary phone for $5. I couldn't resist because I thought, man, that's old. Where are you going to get some shit like that? Find a cat toy, a box of cat toys. So I took one and I brought it home, and when I set it on the floor for my cats, they went nuts. Like, oh my god, he brought us home a toy. And they're like, and I'm like, oh my god, they really like the toy I got them. And I found a really cool old radio in the garbage. That's why I got the phone. I want to set it next to it and like take pictures and try to get like a nostalgia. I bought a trench coat. And so I looked it up. It said 40. It's from the 40s or the 50s in the Army. And it has wool liner. And wool liners like kick-ass. But the outside's supposed to be like waterproof too. And it's Army. And it's like trench coat. It's like fucking badass. I've been wanting like just a cool trench coat just for fun. The only thing is I think it's a little too small for me because It feels great if you're just standing there. You're like, it feels good. But if you like put your arms up like this, it like feels like you're like stretching everything all weird. I thought maybe it's supposed to be like that. Maybe that's just how it was back in the 40s or the 50s. I don't know. A jacket from the 40s or the 50s? Like, what the fuck? It's a jacket from the 40s or the 50s. It's like, what the fuck? I paid $5 for it. $5. What? They had other ones too, but I was like, man, I can't buy all these jackets. I'll buy one badass jacket. There's a lot of cool stuff. I almost bought a PS3, but I decided it looked like it was bad. I'm gonna buy PS4. It's only like a month or two. I bet they'll announce it early. How about my fixed lighter? Look at that. Take those little child-proof wheels off. Wouldn't even light. How about this cup? I thought it was stainless steel outside and inside, but I got to looking and I'm like, what the fuck? It's clear. But it's stainless steel inside. It was brand new. It had paperwork inside of it and everything. You can tell it ain't even used. Everybody thinks this is leather. It's not. It's pleather. But it's still pretty cool. $1. I thought it had to at least be worth $1. I've been wanting a good cup. I don't think it's as good as I thought it was. I thought it was just like a tiny bit better. It's still good though, but I thought it was better. I bought a new phone for $1. I needed a phone. And I knew if I went to the yard sale that I'd find one. So I bought this phone for $1. And it works. $1. Works fine. Crazy. Somebody gave me this for free. A lot of times I find like random RC things. I'll buy them for like $1. And they'll be like, oh, there's no remote. I'll be like, you know, this remote was free. It's kind of a weird one. You know, that makes me think there was a big, huge tank, and the guy's like $5. It doesn't have a remote. And I'm like, boom, here's a tank remote. Boom, up, down. Should have bought that thing, $5. Should have bought it. I mean, it was huge, like tank, RC tank. It was like this big, like, that big. It looked cool. I could fix shit. I could have fixed it. If I see it again, I'm probably gonna buy it. Big old tank. They're like, now don't go putting no 22 on there. They're like, you'll get in trouble. I'm gonna mount me a 22 on it. It'll be like, zzz, zzz. I was just joking, though. Like you get a pellet gun or something. I wouldn't even know how to do all that, though. The popcorn popper was amazing. Like, it was like really fast. It roasts the beans really fast. It turns it for you, so you just stand there. You don't have to do shit. And it's like, it was like that quick. They were turning brown, from green to brown, like that quick. And it's like, whoa, that's fast. And then it's like within a couple minutes, they're already done. And you're like, whoa, hell yeah. And it just spins them and spins them. And you just kind of stand there and just look at them like, when are they done? It's really not even that hard. The secret to roasting them is they make a sound, and you go by the sound. I don't even care what the color is. I looked up like mass YouTube videos, and one guy, he's just like, I go by the sound. And you can look at the color, but he's like, you just know when it's like crackling and popping the second time around. He's like, it goes through a first crack, you ignore that one, and it keeps going. And then you wait till it starts crackling and popping, and it almost sounds like popcorn, and then it's like done. And you're like, boop. Now, once it gets to that, you can stop it right when it does that. Wait a second, and it gets darker and darker. That's when, but that happens quick. So I just like, once it gets, everything's cracking and popping, you just stop it then. I call that's medium dark, and that's the best. I don't care for what. You want like a medium dark. Dark's too funny. I've had all kinds of dark, and just, it's good, but I don't have the right flavors, it seems like. I like it sometimes, but sometimes you mix them, like you take light and dark and mix it, and it's really good. What I would do, like a light and a medium dark, mix those. That's pretty good. And the green beans, you can actually get better beans that way, because I guess if they were roasted, people just buy them and then they're sold out. But if they're green, it's like they kind of stay around a little longer. And if green beans last forever, like the longer they're around, the better they end up tasting, because they aerate and they like oxygenate, and it might actually taste better. So that green beans can just sit there forever and taste good. And that's when you roast them, that's when they kind of start to go bad. So the quicker you roast it. And they were just It was like a suggestion there, like, if you like beer, maybe you like roasting your own coffee. I was like, I like coffee. I'm gonna roast my own coffee. They're like, get a popcorn popper. So I got 2 different kinds. I got one with the whirly pop. You like sit there and twirl it. I got tired of doing that, and I'm like, man, I gotta step up. And they're like, get a popcorn popper. And I got that. I like it. I paid $1. It's like freaking amazing. I was like crying. I got like something in my eye. I was like drinking some beer too. So I drank like 1 or 2, but I'm tired as fuck. Looking at my radio. I'll take these vitamins. These were $4 for 100 at Family Dollar. I figure that's a good deal. And it can't be that bad. They're not a lot, they're like regulated, you know, it's like vitamins. It's regulated. You know, it's not like we live in China or something. And it says iodine as potassium iodine 100%, because they're saying you need iodine from Fukushima. And it's got all these other vitamins. It's got like 100% of every vitamin. And it's like mineral supplement. So like, just this could cure depression or anxiety. You need oils, which is weird. I don't understand that, but like we use oil, and so you get like fish oil, olive oil, like it's omega-3, like the omega-3 oils, but they say like butter fat, organic butter fat, that's got the omega-3s. I don't even know. I was eating like I didn't eat. I don't know, if you ever wanted something, get it at a yard sale, because it's like $1. It's like, holy fuck. That's the only thing that can like tie me to the Matrix, I think. That'll either work or it won't. I don't know. I think it could. It's like buy a satellite radio for $1. I bought this soundboard thing, and I'm like, man, I know these things are worth anything with knobs and dials like this is fucking worth money. And I was like, how much you want for this? He's like, I don't, $1. And I'm like, okay. And I really sold it for 10 to a guy that knew. He's like, I like things with knobs and dials, and this has that. And I was like, hell yeah. I sold it for 10, so I made 9. I found a plasma globe, except it was a disc, a plasma disc that you touch, and it had 5 different colors. It was like red, green, blue. It was badass. Some guy bought, I found it in the garbage. I said, man, this thing's gotta work. And if not, I'll make it work. Because it's cool. And so I looked on the back and it said 12 volt power supply. So I went through the stuff at the flea market, or yard sale, or whatever it's called. And found a cord, and I read it, and it said 12 volt, and I said, well, that's fine, 12 volt, that's what I need. I said, how much? He's like, 2. I'm like, oh, fuck that, and I walked away. He's like, okay, $1, and I gave him $1, and then I plugged it in, and it worked. And then the guy bought, so I ended up buying the plasma globe disc thing for $1, and I sold it for 10, so I made 9 yet again. I found a Dutch oven. I bought it for 15, and I resold it. I cleaned the hell out of it because I wanted it to look badass, like brand new. So I made it look brand new, and then I sold it for 10. I mean, not 10, 30. I sold it for 30. And so I made 15 just by cleaning it. And it really wasn't that hard. I made a video about me cleaning it. Actually, the one in the video is the one I sold for $30. So I sold that for $30. If anybody wants to know. I got it. It's in the video. Me cleaning it. If you want to know how I cleaned it. It was pretty cool. I bought some extra pads to clean it for 50 cents. They're at the yard sale. They were like ancient. They're like ancient. Guess they're in the kitchen. Ancient pads. They're like brand new. They're awesome. I might have to make just a video about that. Old Scotch-Brite pads from like fucking 70s or something. Like still brand new in a cool looking weird package from like old. It says 89 cents on it, and I was like 50 cents, and it's like old, and I'm like, man, it's gotta be worth more than that. I mean, back then it was worth 80 cents. Like, what the hell? What? I bought a toolbox too for like $5, and it worked. Like I had to like do a job that required like every tool, so I got the toolbox so I could do that, and it worked because I needed a whole bunch. When I brought it, I had them all, and they're all in that big toolbox I bought, so it was like really cool. Worked out really well. And I bought the toolbox. It's like it's old, and it's like got flaky paint, and it's like I don't really care. Shoot, flaky paint makes it look better. It's like it ain't a toolbox unless it has flaky paint. Not that bad though. If it was real bad, I'd be like, eh. It's like a tolerable thing. And it was $5, but I looked them up and it said they're like $80 new, so I'm like, hell yeah, it's my new toolbox. Surprisingly, there's a whole bunch of them down there, and I was trying to buy some, but the lady was black, she wasn't selling to me. She ended up selling to a black guy, and then the black guy sold it to a white guy, and then the white guy I got confused and lost at that point. But I seen it all go down, and I'm like just not watching, but kind of, it's like peripheral watching, and I'm like, but not watching. I just happen to see it. I'm just like, I want that toolbox, and then I'm like, I don't really care. I already bought one, so I probably don't that's the thing. Like, if it must have sucked. And so it was like, it probably worked out. That's why you seen it getting traded around. It really freaking sucked. I think I knew how to fix it though. That was the thing. I was like, that sucks. I bet I could fix it. It said Popular Mechanics, but they wouldn't really sell it to me. So I said, fuck them. Everybody knows me down there. It's really weird. They're like, hey, it's you again, and I'm like, how do these people know me? I don't even know these people. They all are there are only a few I can remember. I guess they have to be very different to remember. Chinese, black, white, Mexican. It's identifying features. Oh, I remember you. You're that Chinese guy, Mexican guy. But when it's a bunch of bald white guys, I'm like, some of them you remember. Yeah, there's one guy, he's a white guy, and he's easy to remember. A lot of them are, I guess. It's pretty cool. The food there is really expensive. I should make a booth and sell cheap food. I bet a million people would buy a million things. I couldn't imagine what would happen. I'd be pops are 25 cents cold, and hamburgers are 50 cents, and hot dogs are 25 cents. People would be like, nah, nah. It'd be like squirrels, and their cheeks would be all puffed out with hot dogs and shit. And I'd be like, cheese conies are 10 cents. And I'd be like, and I'd be like, cheese coney, hot dog, hamburger. And they'd be like, what the fuck? I could do that too, just for fun. It'd probably be too hard. I did find a hot dog stand in the garbage. So I went and like asked the people. I said, "Are you throwing that away?" And they're like, "No, it's $100." I said, "I bet you're throwing it away, but you know it's probably worth something." They're like, "No, don't take it now." If I did have $100, I probably would have bought it. But I started looking at it. I was thinking. I was like, okay, $100. I'm like, how am I gonna get that on my truck? It weighs about 5, 6, 700 pounds, maybe more. They threw away a fridge though. I got it and used the part to fix the other fridge, and then I sold that fridge for $80. It was in the garbage. It was all like smashed, and the door was all broken off, so it never had a door. That's why I salvaged it for parts, because I would have sold it. But it was totally trash. It had some good parts though. I think it worked, and when they threw it away, they like smashed it, and it smashed the door off. And I just said, I'll scrap it or something. Fuck that. I have to buy a garage to put up my shit, my hoard in. So I'm supposed to do that soon. And some guy already tried to like rip me off on a garage. So I decided I was gonna build the garage that he tried to rip me off on, but I was gonna get it for a better price. It was only like $900. And I mean, it might have been more, but I can find what he was trying to sell me for $900 less. So maybe if I try even harder, I can find it for $500 less than that. Get it down to what I want. Big garage, like the aluminum roof. It's a Kwanzaa hut, and it, I don't know, Kwanzaa hut sounds badass. There's one right across from the freaking flea market, and it's awesome. They put planes in it, and it's like badass. The flea market stinks. The sewers have big holes in them, and all those people are zombies, and so they all have to go take a really fucked up, weird ass shit. And so when you first get there, I always get there at about 6 in the morning. because that's what it says. They say to do. Not that you have to, but. And it smells fine. But then when everybody shows up and fucking takes a weird, wicked shit, that fucking place smells like fucking crazy, dude. Like bio-infectious death. It's crazy. They have like one toilet to take 10,000 shits in. And then like that, it's like that sewer's like fucking cranking from one fucking toilet. And there's like a line to fucking like blow your shit in there, man. And it's fucking like crazy. Like if you go in there and like try to take it, like wait in line, it's like it smells like death in the bathroom. Then you go outside and like the sewer smells even worse because it's like it's fucking fermenting that shit with all the other shit, and it's like it's worse. I don't know what smells worse, like the bathroom or the fucking. And it's like I could have to piss like so bad, and I'll walk in there like I can't piss. Like it's like your dick just like cuts off, and you're like, and like the zombies next to you are like pissing, and they're like, and they're like pissing and shit, and then you're just like looking at them, and they're like fat and greasy, and like grease is like dripping off their skin, and it looks like some horror movie, like some bad like redneck Godfather fucking movie. And then you're like, I can't be this much of a bitch, even though I'm stepping in piss and it smells like death, and I want to throw up. And then you like muster up the courage to try to piss, and you're looking at the women, and you're like, or not that you look at the women, but you look at the women's line, and it's like huge, and you're like, I couldn't imagine what they're doing over there. Having a lot of fun. I don't know, because it's probably like just as bad or worse. And to get a hamburger, it's $3, and like they cook it in this fucking like shanty, like a little hot dog booth, and they're like, I'm making a hamburger, bitch, and like fucking like gigantic motherfuckers like buy like triple and quarter pounders, and it's like that's not even on the menu. I can't even. They're like $20. I need a triple, and they're like, and they're like, the fat's just like hanging off of them, like their stomach hangs down to their feet. And I'm not even trying to make fun of them. One guy looked at another guy, and he's like, your gut is hanging out of your shirt. And he's like, he looked at him and he's like, your gut's hanging out of your shirt. And they both had their gut hanging out of their shirt. And he's like, no. He's like, my shirt is tucked in. Your gut is hanging out. And I was like, his gut was really hanging out. It was funny. And they started arguing about their guts. And they were both like fat as fuck. And it was like, I was like rolling around like on the ground. Like, what the fuck? This is funny. And I just try to be nice. I just have fun. I don't know, it's just like crazy. Crazy, too much fun. It's like somebody's got to be bringing money to that place, because I never bring any, but I always walk out with money, and it's really weird, because it's like, where does that come from? Somebody's bringing it down, and I'm ended up with it. Like, what the fuck? I feel bad for those people. Not really. A lot of people that buy from me are old. They almost seem like they're 70, 60. I don't care. So, it's like, if there's a person that's younger and they want something that I'm selling, I usually try to give them a better deal than I would, because kids, they can't afford it. Plus, if in their mind they really want it, I kind of remember how when I was a kid and it was hard to get things because people are dicks, so I'm always like a lot nicer, because I remember when I was a kid and cool shit happened. It's like better than if you're older, in a way. Unless they seem like a stupid kid, then I'm just ignore them. Like, but I had these lights, and this kid's like, "Oh, I like these lights." And I was like, if I was his age, I'd like those lights too. So I'll give him a better deal. And some old guy, he wanted those lights. He said he had like a 57 Chevy. He was going to put them on. These lights I had. And so I'm like arguing with him over the price. And I give this kid a deal. And I was like, I told him to get me a pop, and I guess he mistaken me and thought that I said that I would buy him a pop, but I didn't care, because I've done that. I had somebody ask me if I wanted a pop, and they're like, no, do you want to, I'm gonna go get a pop, you gotta give me the money for it. I was like, no, buy me one, fuck you. Like, if you ask me if I want a pop, it's almost like, so I didn't care, because I was like, the chicks never look at my stuff. So when I do, I kind of like, I'm like, you like my stuff? And then they're like, and then they walk. So I gotta get some chick things. So they stand around longer. Maybe they'll be more interested. Something, I don't know. I don't know. It don't really matter. It's like that place is too cool. But guess I could always try to find other places like that. It's weird, like, if you want things, you go there. If you're like, I need a new jack stand, a new bolt remover, there's a really good chance you'll find it down there, and like at a ridiculously crazy price, like $1, and you're like, I've always wanted one of those. What? $1? Ah. And if it's not, just walk away, because you eventually do find it for $1, and if not, you can kind of like get a good deal anyways, $5. Or you can sell things that you don't sell on eBay. Like, eBay sucks. Sell things. Craigslist sucks. Just have like a little fucking yard sale. People are like, are you going to the world's largest yard sale? I'm like, no. Because I'm fucking in my own kind of fucking largest yard sale. It was weird, like, I wasn't even, I like left my house, and people like just outside were like, are you going down there today? I'll see you there. And I'm like, what the fuck? They're like, nobody's down there. Are you selling? I'm like, no, I'm buying. Like, people kept asking, am I selling? I'm like, no, not today. I'm buying today. And it was a good day, but it was too windy. I felt like it was a bad day because of the wind. The wind might have blew my shit over. I don't like that. So I think I had like the feeling to just buy. And I was also having a feeling like, don't spend a lot of money. But I went, like, this guy was like, oh, I got a PS3, $45, and I almost like jumped on it. And then I like was about to buy it, and I got this bad feeling like, oh, you know what, it could be bad. And if it is, I don't want it for that price. I want it for $25, and I thought, I don't even want to negotiate, because he don't sound right. And so I started looking at his stuff, and I noticed everything he had was broken. And I said, what are the odds that everything he has is broken, and this too is broken? And I thought, even if I could fix it, I don't want to buy broken it's worth like 20, 25 bucks if it's broken. And I thought, well, you know, he ain't gonna admit that it's broken, so fuck it. And so I walked on. But then this one guy had 2 boat engines, and they were both the same. And it's like, one of them's got to work, and you port them together, and he's like 60 bucks. I was like, 50. And if he said 60, and I was like, all I got's 50 in my pocket. And he's like, for 60 you can have it. I'm like, I don't know, I gotta think about it. But if he would have said 50, I probably would have whipped my money out right there and bought them both for 50 bucks. 2 10 horsepower boat engines that you like bolt on the back or something. I'll get some someday. It don't matter. And I won't pay 50 bucks. I'll pay like 20. And if they don't work, I'll make them work. I'll put new motors on them. I'll have to figure something out because I want them. There was a compressor for $10. It was like tiny. And it had an air tank. When I plugged it in, it was like, and I'm like, it's probably good, but I want a big one. I'm like, I save the money I use for the $10 one and just buy a $50 one. An air compressor is going to be hard to get. I'd have to buy a broken one. I did see a good broken one. I think the guy wanted too much though. I had like 2 people yell at me for some reason. I was like looking at their stuff, and they like, one lady like smacked me at me. I went to like grab something that they had sitting down, and they're like, "That's mine!" And I was like, "Ah!" And I like just walked away from that booth. Then so I walked down to like another one. And I was looking at this other item, and I asked the guy about it, and he just got mad about it. And I was like, okay, and I walked away, and then I was like, whatever. Most people are nice. So the guy that got mad, I like looked at his thing, and I asked him about it, and he just kind of got mad about it. So I walked away from his booth, and I kept, every time I walked over by it, I kept like seeing stuff, and I'm like, oh, but I was like, oh yeah, that guy's a dick, I'm not gonna go there. So I just kept walking by. Like, I'm not gonna buy from that guy. He's a dick. A lot of the old ladies are good to buy from because they don't realize the value of a lot of, like, you know, they're kind of old, like from their time, like $1 bought a nickel's worth, or a nickel bought $1's worth back then, and it's like, you know, so a lot of times you can get good deals. I bought a blender, for a brand new blender for $1 from a lady. She had an iron, like a steam iron. It was really cool. That was like $1. I looked that up, and they said they're like $30 new. I thought, I don't really use an iron, but you never know, you could. That was Looked like a pretty nice one. Iron. Iron shit. Why not, huh? I'll just keep it as just an item, like I have an iron. It was a fucking $1. I'll keep that fucker forever, just for fun, like, I have an iron. Do I use it? Nope. It was $1. That's worth it, to have just an iron sitting around. What if one day I'm like, I need a fucking iron? I bought one for $1. Motherfucker, and it's a badass one. It's like, shoot, fucking steam out and shit, like, hell yeah. Coffee grinder for $1. The guy started off at like 5, and it was like 4, it was like 3, it was like 2, it was like 1, and I'm like, okay, I won. It took like an hour though. I tried to pay less for this cup. I paid $1. I couldn't really talk the guy down. I started liking it, and I'm like, I like it, but he said $1. I don't really want to pay $1. Fuck, what am I gonna do? I'm like, you know what? $1, whatever, fuck it, here's $1. He had a wedge that I liked for wood chopping, but it was like horribly fucked up. He was like $2. I'm like, $1. It's like $2. He wouldn't take less for that either. And I didn't feel like bundling them, because it's like, how do you bundle something for $2 with something for $1? I was like, $2 for the cup and the thing. It's like, that doesn't make sense, because like, he wouldn't do it anyway, so. I bought a knife by bundling. Where's my chef knife? It's awesome. You gotta look at this chef knife. I thought this was kind of interesting. It doesn't have metal on this side. There's no metal there. And when you flip it, there's metal all the way on the back, but not on the front. And I noticed it says Japan. It says made in Japan. And it says Santa Fe, and it says NO stainless steel. So no stainless steel. And then on the handle it says chef. See that right there? It says chef, or SEF, SHEF, and it's kind of dulled in a spot here and there. I figured it maybe I can sharpen it, but I've been wanting a good knife like that, and I just heard Japanese ones are good, even if they're thin. They said they can be good. Japanese, maybe it's good. I looked it up, I couldn't find nothing. Couldn't find nothing. Japanese. It says IC Japan. Has a cool looking thing. It's not real bad. I seen a thing that said these Japanese thin knives are actually, the thinner blade actually cuts better. It chops better. Chop, chop, chop. I'm gonna chop some fruit and vegetables right now with it. I'd sell it for 20 bucks maybe. 10 bucks. I could do 10 bucks. No, you know what? 20. And then I'll let you talk me down to like 15 or 10 or 15. Yeah. Maybe I'll make it like razor sharp and chop with it. The guy had 2 knives. They were both like this. One said China and the other said Japan. And everybody liked the one in China, and I was like, it says China. This one says Japan. That one's better. That one's better. They're gonna think I'm weird or something. They're gonna be like, he's got a knife. Oh my god. Yeah, I just bought it. Trying to diss my knife. It's pretty cool, huh? Yummy. Greek yogurt. Greek yogurt. Yummy. Oh yeah. Skim milk. I want some more shit. Move the radio out of the way so we can eat a chicken breast. You know what tastes really good with chicken breast? A Danish. Cream cheese Danish. That's a real one. Look at all the cream cheese in it. Yes, that's cream cheese. Did the kitty come to say hi? Huh? Did he come to say hi? Or does he want something to eat? Want a piece of chicken? Here, eat this. Eat that. I give my cat pieces. Jump down, chase one. I listen to self-help videos and eat chicken. I have to eat with my mouth open. because I'm insecure about myself. So I have to display my insecurity by opening my mouth. I'm hoping that that makes me look better, so that way I'm not insecure about myself. And I'm hoping that I fit in like a lemming. Do I look trendy and cool now? I'm gonna finish my trendy eating in another video.